Wherever you are on your financial journey, we will meet you there.
Good evening, everyone.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to the March 17th, 2025 Greensboro Planning and Zoning Meeting. My name is Catherine Magid. I am the chair of the commission. I'd now like to hear from the other commissioners. Would you introduce themselves to you, starting from the right?
I'm Betty Turner.
Warshay Downing.
Keith Peterson.
Sandra O'Connor. Mary James.
Paul J. Gilmore, Sr.
Stu Nichols.
Thank you, and Ms. Glass is going to be a few minutes late. Members of the commission are appointed by the Greensboro mayor or city council members, have taken an oath of office, and serve without pay. The commissioners review all original zoning and rezoning requests for the city of Greensboro. Each commissioner normally visits each site prior to this meeting. All commissioners are required to vote unless they have a conflict of interest. When speaking here tonight, please direct all questions and comments to the Zoning Commission only. The chair or commissioners will, if needed, ask the staff or attorney to comment on the question. Please note that this meeting is being conducted in person and online and is being recorded and televised on the Greensboro Television Network, GTN, and closed caption for the hearing impaired. I think you will notice when you came in there was a piece that you could pick up, which was a handout which has the agenda as well as related contact people from the city of Greensboro. So if your concern is not remedied here, please use that. When a case is called that you are interested in, people wishing to speak in person will need to come to the podium. When you are called upon to speak, please state your name and address for the record. Participants attending on Zoom will be able to view the meeting and speak by using the raised hand function under the reaction button and will be called upon to speak in the order in which hands were raised. Please find the raised hand function under the reaction button now. If anyone participating online needs help with Zoom during this meeting, please email Luke Carter at lucas.carter@greensboro-nc.gov. The procedure used at this public hearing is as followed. Planning staff presents background information and makes a recommendation. The applicant will present a short summary of how he or she communicated with the neighborhood and why the request is reasonable. Any commission member may ask questions once the presenter has completed their presentation. The applicant and those wanting to speak in favor of the request will share a total of 10 minutes to speak. Speakers opposed to the request will share a total of 10 minutes to speak. The applicant and those in favor of the request will share 5 minutes of rebuttal time. Those in opposition to the request will share 5 minutes of rebuttal time. The process after our deliberation: all approved ordinances or denied cases receiving 6 or more favorable votes will constitute a final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the planning department and the appeal fee paid within 10 days. All ordinance receiving less than 6 votes will be subject to a public hearing by the City Council. All annexed ordinances receiving 6 or more votes will be favorably recommended and subject to a public hearing by the City Council. Cases in which no opposition has been expressed to the Planning Department and in which the Commission members do not feel necessitates a discussion will be moved to the top of the agenda and will become the expedited agenda. Staff will provide a shortened presentation for those cases, and the applicant will have 2 minutes to address the Commission if they desire. Acknowledgements of absence. Ms. Glass will be here soon, but we are all here when she arrives. The approval of the minutes. I will entertain a motion to approve the February 17th minutes.
Commissioner Nichols, so moved.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols and Mr. Gilmer. All those in favor signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That passes 8 to 0. Now we'll need some insights from our city attorney, Mr. Duchamp.
Thank you, Chair Magid, and good evening, everyone. Much of the Planning and Zoning Commission's work this evening is going to relate to the consideration of rezoning applications. I'd like to remind everyone in attendance that when the Commission considers rezoning applications, its determinations are based on the land uses that are allowed under the zoning district that's in the application and any conditions that have been proposed by the applicant. Land use impacts on public infrastructure are relevant in rezoning matters, and it's important to know that the Commission is not here to determine all details of a development. That involves staff input that goes beyond the scope of the Commission's work. If a rezoning would generate a certain amount of traffic flow, the Commissioners will have been provided with a summary traffic impact study. Meanwhile, many site-specific development features, such as the means of stormwater management, are evaluated through the Technical Review Committee. Lastly, concerns that are not related to land use are not germane to the Commission's consideration of rezoning applications. For example, generalized concerns about crime rates and questions of who may own or live at a subject property are not for the Commission's consideration. If there are questions about matters that are not addressed this evening, those may be referred to the Planning Department or City Technical staff as appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Withdrawals and continuances, Mr. Kirkman, I understand we have a drawn by
Yes,
the applicant case.
case Z-25-02002, which is for 4325 and 4327 Summit Avenue, was withdrawn by the applicant. No action is needed by the Commission.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have they asked for a continuance?
They decided to withdraw their application
Okay,
entirely,
completely.
yes. So
Okay.
there's no action needed by the Commission.
Okay. It's my understanding that we have two cases tonight in opposition, so I will read the expedited cases first. Okay. Z25-02-005, 1872, Andrews Farm Road. Z25-03-001, 2906 York House Drive. Z25-03-002, 3004 York House Drive, Z25-03-004, 4334 Blackberry Road, Z-25-03-005, a portion of Blackberry Road, Z-25-03-006, 1505 Gorell Street, Z25-03-007, 1606 Young Mills Road, Z25-03-008, 706 Brigham Road, Z25-03-009, 1517 Bartow Place, and Z25-03-010, 600 Guilford College Road. I'd like to take a moment to make sure that no one here in the chamber or online has opposition to any of those cases. Seeing none, we'll proceed to the expedited agenda.
Thank you, Chair Magid. Do you want to read the intro slide there, or I can?
Can you read the introduction?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Item PLP 25-06-Z25-02-005, an annexation and original zoning request from the county AG Agricultural to City CDR3, Conditional District Residential Single Family 3, for the property identified as 1872 Andrews Farm Road, generally described as west of Andrews Farm Road and north of McConnell Road, 12.512 acres. Mr. Carter.
Thank you, Chair Magid. This is the zoning map of the subject property, which shows that it contains approximately 12.512 acres. In the surrounding area, you will find county zoning. You've got county ag to the north, county RS40 to the east, county ag to the east, county ag to the south, and to the west. This is the aerial map of the subject property, showing that it is currently undeveloped. There's undeveloped land to the north, single-family dwellings to the east, single-family dwellings and agricultural uses to the south, and agricultural uses and single-family dwellings and undeveloped land to the east, or to the west. This is the condition that was proposed by the applicant. And in recommending approval, staff notes that the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan currently designates the property as ex-urban excuse me, on the future built form map and as residential on the future land use map. If this original zoning is approved, when it goes to council, the future built form map will be considered to be amended to urban general. The proposed original zoning request supports the comprehensive plan's Creating Great Places goal to expand Greensboro's citywide network of unique neighborhoods, offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices. The proposed CDR3 zoning district, as conditioned, permits uses in the utilities use group. And the addition of a public utility at this location would facilitate future development on surrounding properties. And I can answer any questions that you have at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Does the commission have any questions at this point? Okay, seeing none, would the applicant like to make any comments? You have up to 2 minutes.
You have a sheet up here.
It's just a reminder, 2 minutes. Okay. Mr. Fox, just reminding you, 2 minutes.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Sorry, I wanted to show you one map.
Okay.
And they're working on getting that up.
Okay.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Mike Fox, and I'm here representing the applicant, Duke Energy Carolinas. We have a number of Duke Energy folks with us. Should you have any questions, primarily Hank Henning, who is the district manager for community and government relations. Knowing that we're on your expedited agenda, we will be very brief. This is for a utility substation, and to some degree, it reflects the good work that your board has been doing for the past several years. This is the slide I really wanted to show you. These are all the new residential homes that this board has approved for annexation into the city. Going back, I think the oldest one is maybe 2021, but essentially up to almost 3,600 new units. So Duke Energy identified a need to serve this area better. Mr. Henning can talk about why that is if you have questions, but note also that there are 2 other industrial centers nearby, Rock Creek, as well as the Carolina Corporate Center. So there is a great demand for additional power and energy in this area, not only to serve these new developments, but to make sure that the folks that are living there right now maintain good service as well. So Hank, did you want to add anything quickly? We've got a few more seconds.
So the need is based on capacity of our existing substations to serve this area. 2 of them, one, we project both of them by 2030. One will be in the low 70s as far as capacity. The other one will be at capacity about 98, 99%. So this will alleviate those substations by about 50%. That's our goal when we site new substations, and so this one will handle the growth that Mike just mentioned.
I'm going to give you a little bit more time to speak.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, would you, Hank, you need to say your name and address for the record.
Oh, my apologies.
That's all right.
Hank Henning, 2500 Fairfax Road, Greensboro, 27407.
Thank you very much, Mr. Henning. If you'd like to add something else, I'm giving you the liberty to. You have 18 seconds, and I'll give you maybe an additional 30, because this is important, and I'd like to hear what you have to say.
I would also like to add, too, we've had extensive communications with the surrounding property owners who had recently had a neighborhood meeting just on this particular application and answered questions. I think 6 people attended total. And we've made sure that the site is well buffered and that there will not be any negative impact on any of the surrounding neighbors, and that the positive impact will be their electricity will be more robust and more reliable.
That's right. Yep. The only thing I would add is we went above and beyond the city's requirement. We went to 900 feet instead of the required, I believe 500 feet.
In terms of notification.
In terms of notification. So we doubled the number of homes we wanted to reach in case there were neighbors who wanted to come into our community meeting and ask questions.
Thank you. That was important to hear. We appreciate it. So seeing none, no objection, I will close the, is there any comment? Would the commissioners like to say anything?
Ask a quick question. I think I know the answer to this, but I just want to be clear. What equipment and what function takes place at a substation?
So the purpose of a substation, I did have a slide on this, is to deliver the power from the power plants, the generating plants, through the transmission lines, and the substations are the distribution point where it comes out to our homes and businesses and so forth. So within the substation will be a series of transformers. Brian, do you want to come up here and answer this more a technical question? But it's really,
that's all I needed.
It's just really circuits of transformers and power lines coming out of it. We're going to attach to the existing grid that's already there, which is why this is such an ideal spot for us.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Gaines?
Mr. Henning, in terms of the 12 acres, 12 and a half acres you have here, do you have an approximation of how much will be used for this substation?
Yeah, great question. So out of the 12 acres, we're going to be using just under 2 acres of it. We actually picked it also because of the buffering. We want buffers. In addition to wanting to be good neighbors, we also want it to be hidden from view. And actually, you can see on the picture the way that we tilted it. And so, since the road curves, it's going to be challenging vantage point for people to drive down the road and know that it's even in there. So not only will the neighbors not be able to see it, the cars coming along the roads, and you can see we're keeping as much buffering as we possibly can.
Thank you.
And I have one question which you've answered, but I wanted to know how much usage would be provided by bringing this, to lower your number of 97%. Right now, you're up to that capacity. So.
Yeah, so like I said, when we are siting these, we look to alleviate about 50% over time from the other substations that serve this area. What we do is we have what we call a load center, and we actually draw a radius around that area that we need to serve, and we try to locate the substations right in the center of those load center areas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're going to close the public hearing, and I would entertain a motion. Thank you very much. Appreciate you both.
Commissioner Keith Peterson, item Z-25-02-005. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes
Mr.
that...
Peterson, we need to vote on the annexation first.
Yes.
Annexation, I'm moving fast.
Okay. Okay. So first make a motion to annex. Mr.
I'll
Peterson.
make a motion to annex
And it's PLP.
PLP 25-06, 1872 Andrews Farm Road.
Commissioner, give him a second.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson and Mr. Gilbert. Now we have to take a vote on that, correct? So all those in favor signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passed 8-0. Now we'll take the motion, Mr. Peterson.
All right.
Sorry.
Commissioner Keith Peterson, item Z-25-02-005. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the original zoning request for the property at 1872 Andrews Farm Road from County AG Agricultural to City CD-R-3 Conditional District Residential Single Family 3 to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public's best interest for the following reasons. The request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's future built form map and future land use map. The proposed city CD-R-3 zoning district as condition permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on the adjacent properties. The request is reasonable due to the size, physical condition, and other attributes in the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, approval in the public's best interest.
And I need a second.
Commissioner, give him a second.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson and Mr. Gilmer. I'd just like to say that in the last vote for the annexation, we were all here, so it's 9-0. And now we will take a vote. All those in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, that passed 9-0. This constitutes a favorable recommendation and is subject to a public hearing at the Tuesday, April 15th, 2025 City Council meeting. The next item, PLP 25-11 and Z25-03-001, an annexation and original zoning request from County CZPDR SUP, conditional zoning, plan development, residential with special use permit, to City R3 residential single family for the properties identified as 2906 York House Drive and 2806 Chillen Court, generally described as east of Castlecraft Road and north of Chillen Court, 0.505 acres. And Ms. Harrison.
Thank you, Chair Maggot. This image shows the zoning map, and it shows that the subject properties contain approximately 0.505 acres and are located east of Castlecroft Road and north of Chillen Court. This is an annexation and original zoning request from County CZPDR SUP, which is conditional zoning, planned development, residential, with a special use permit for subdivision signage, to City R3, residential single family 3. North, east, south, and west of the request are zoned County CZPD RSUP, conditional zoning, planned development, residential with a special use permit. This image shows the aerial map, and the subject properties are currently undeveloped. North of the request contains single-family dwellings. East and west of the request contains single-family dwellings and undeveloped land. South of the request contains undeveloped land and I-73. This image shows the subject properties as seen from Castlecroft Road. The GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan designates this site as urban general on the future built form map and residential on the future land use map. The proposed original zoning request supports both the comprehensive plan's creating great places goal to expand Greensboro's citywide network of unique neighborhoods offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing, choices, and the building community connections goal to maintain stable, attractive, and healthy places to live and raise families. The proposed City R3 zoning district is primarily intended to accommodate low-density single-family detached residential development of up to 3 dwelling units per acre. The uses permitted in the proposed zoning district are compatible with the existing uses located on adjacent tracts. And I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Does the Commission have any questions? Seeing none, would the applicant like to make any comments? You have up to 2 minutes. I don't believe the applicant is here. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Harrison. We will close the public hearing now, and I will entertain a motion.
Sandra O'Connor, I'd like to move annexation for Z2503-001, 2906 York House Drive, and 2806 Chillen Court.
Commission.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor and Ms. Turner. And now we will take a vote. All those in favor signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, that passes 9-0. And now we need the motion.
I'll make the motion. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that it's action to recommend approval of the original zoning request for the properties at 2906 York House Drive and 2806 Chillen Court from County CZPDR SUP, conditional zoning, planned development, residential with a special use permit, to City R3, residential single-family 3, to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 comprehensive plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. The request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's future built form map and future land use map. The proposed City R3 zoning district permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on the adjacent properties. The request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor. And now we will take a vote. Well, I need a second. Thank you, Ms. Turner. And now we will take a vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your arm and saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? That passes 9-0. And that constitutes a favorable recommendation and is subject to a public hearing on Tuesday, April 15th, 2025, City Council meeting. Thank you, Ms. Harrison. And the next item is an item PLP 25-2012 and Z25-03-002, an annexation and original zoning request from County CZPDR SUP, conditional zoning, planned development, residential with a special use permit, to City R3, residential single-family 3, for the property identified as 3004 York House Drive, generally described as west of Castlecroft Road and north of York House Drive, 0.289 acres. And Ms. Harrison.
Thank you, Chair Magid. This is an image of the zoning map, and the subject property contains 0.289 of an acre and is located west of Castlecroft Road and north of York House Drive. This is an annexation and original zoning request from County CZPDR SUP, which is conditional zoning, planned development, residential with special use permit for subdivision signage, to City R3, residential single-family 3. North, east, south, and west of requests are zoned County CZPDR SUP, conditional zoning, planned development, residential with a special use permit. This is the aerial map showing the subject properties currently undeveloped. North and east of the request contains single-family dwellings. South of the request contains I-73. West of the request contains common element. The GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan designates this site as urban general on the future built form map and residential on the future land use map. The proposed original zoning request supports both the comprehensive plans, creating great places goal to expand Greensboro's citywide network of unique neighborhoods offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices, and the building community connections goal to maintain stable, attractive, and healthy places to live and raise families. The proposed City CR zoning district is primarily intended to accommodate low-density single-family detached residential development of up to 3 dwelling units per acre. The uses permitted in the proposed zoning district are compatible with existing uses located on adjacent tracts. And I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Harrison. Would the applicant like to make any comments? You have up to 2 minutes. I don't believe the applicant is here. So, seeing none, we will close the public hearing. I will entertain a motion. First, we have to do the annexation.
Yes. Motion to annex, for annexation, Z25-03002, 3004 York House Drive.
Will you announce the PLP number as well, please? That's the annexation number we need. Sorry.
PLP 25-12.
Thank you so much, Ms. Turner. And could I get a second, please?
Seconded.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. All right, now we'll take a vote. All those in favor signify by raising your arm and saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes 9-0. Now we need the motion. Thank you, Ms. Turner.
Motion for the matter, which is counties, 3004 York House Drive, Z2503002. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the original zoning request for the property at 3004 York House Drive from County CZ PDRSUP, conditional zoning, planned development, residential with a special use permit, to City R3, residential single family 3, to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 comprehensive plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. 1, the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's future built format and future land use map. 2, the proposed City R3 zoning district permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on the adjacent properties. 3, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Thank you, Ms. Turner, and I'll do a better job explaining that the annexation goes first when it does. Now we'd like to take a vote. All of those in favor.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you for seconding the motion, Ms. O'Connor. So now we will take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes 9-0. This constitutes a favorable recommendation and is subject to a public hearing at the Tuesday, April 15th, 2025 City Council meeting. The next item, expedited item, is item PLP 25-13 and Z 25-03-004, an annexation and original zoning request from County AG Agricultural to City CDR3, Conditional District Residential Single Family 3, for the properties identified as 4334, 4340, and 4342 Blackberry Road, generally described as west of Blackberry Road, west of Wild Wolf Drive, and south of Old Randleman Road, 10.2 acres, and item PLP 25-03 and Z 25-03-005, an annexation and original zoning request from County AG Agricultural to City R3 Residential Single Family 3 for the property identified as a portion of Blackberry Road right-of-way, generally described as Blackberry Road west of Wild Wolf Drive and south of Old Randleman Road and south of Old Randleman Road, 0.8 acres. And this is a zoning and also the right-of-way, and that's why we've combined them together.
That is correct.
Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Chair Megan. This is the zoning map of the area showing that the property currently contains 11 acres and are located west of Blackberry Road, west of Wild Wolf Drive, and the portion of Blackberry Road right-of-way, as you stated in the front there. So there are 3 separate requests with this being heard. PLP 25-13 is the annexation request for the properties, and the 2 zoning requests. The property is currently zoned County AG Agricultural, and they're requesting City CDR3 Conditional District Residential Single Family 3. And the property currently contains a single family dwelling and other accessory structures. North and west of the request are zoned County AG Agricultural, East and south of the request are zoned City R3, residential single-family 3. This is the aerial map of the proximity showing that the subject properties currently contain these single-family dwellings and a portion of the road right-of-way. North of the request contains single-family dwellings and right-of-way as well. East of the request contains single-family dwellings and common elements. South of the request contains a religious assembly use and road right-of-way. And west of the request contains single-family dwellings and undeveloped land. This is the condition that was requested by the applicant and advertised with the request. And in recommending approval of the request, staff noted that the GSO 2040 comprehensive plan currently designates similar nearby properties as ex-urban on the future built form map and residential on the future land use map. If this original zoning request is approved, the future built form designation for the subject site is considered to be amended to urban general. The proposed original zoning request supports both the comprehensive plan's Creating Great Places goal to expand Greensboro's citywide network of unique neighborhoods offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices. And staff noted that the proposed CDR3 zoning district as conditioned limits building height to a maximum, it says 50 feet there, but it's actually 20 feet per the condition from the applicant, and that the proposed R3 zoning district is primarily intended to accommodate low-density, single-family detached residential development of up to 3 dwelling units per acre. The uses permitted in this district are compatible with existing uses located on adjacent tracts, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Does the commission have any questions? If not, would the applicant like to make any comments? Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Up to 2 minutes you can speak. Okay, Mr. Blackwood has declined. So seeing nothing, without further objection, we'll close the public hearing. And I will entertain a motion first for the annexation and then for the zoning.
Commissioner Keith Pearson, I make a motion in reference to PLP 25-13 annexation request for 4334, 4340, and 4342 Blackberry Road for annexation.
Commissioner Nichols, second.
I believe that covers it. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Peterson and Mr. Nichols. Now we will vote. All those in favor, raise your hand and signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, that passes 9-0. Now we need a motion for the 3004.
Right away or zoning?
No, the zoning, the original zoning.
All right, this is Warshay Downey. I'd like to make a motion regarding agenda item Z25-03004 for 4334, 4340, and 4342 Blackberry Road. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the original zoning request for the properties at 4334, 4340, and 4342 Blackberry Road from County AG Agricultural to City CDR3 Conditional District Residential Single Family 3 to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. Number one, the request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future built form map and future land use map. Number two, the proposed city CDR3 zoning district as conditioned permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding areas and limits negative impacts on the adjacent properties. Number three, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Thank you, Mr. Downing. I need a second, please.
Commissioner Erica Glass, I second.
Thank you, Ms. Glass. And now we will vote. All those in favor signify by raising your hand and saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, that passes 9-0. And now we need the additional zoning, a motion for that. The right-of-way.
Is that the PLP 25-06?
No, it's the 03-005. Would you like to do it? Thank you, Ms. Glass.
Commissioner Erica Glass, the Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the original zoning request for the property at, for the property at a portion of Blackberry Road right-of-way from County AG Agriculture to City R3 Residential Single Family 3 to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. The request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's future built form map and future land use map. 2, the proposed city R3 zoning district permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on the adjacent properties. Number 3, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area, and it will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Thank you, Ms. Glass, and I need a second.
Sandra O'Connor.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor. Okay, now we will take a vote. All those in favor signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes 9-0. Both of these constitutes a favorable recommendation, and they are both subject to a public hearing on Tuesday, April 15th, 2025, at the City Council meeting. Thank you. Our next item is Z25-03-006, a rezoning request from R5 Residential Single Family 5 to R7 Residential Single Family 7 for the property identified as 1505 Gorell Street, generally described as north of Gorell Street and west of South O. Henry Boulevard, 0.25 acres. Thank you, Mr. Carter.
Thank you, Chair Magid. This is the zoning map of the subject property, showing that the subject property contains approximately 0.25 acres, and the rezoning request is from R5 to R7. The subject property currently contains 2 single-family dwellings. When you went to the site, you probably noticed that there was a Board of Adjustment sign there as well as the rezoning sign. So this rezoning would clear the way for the property to be subdivided based on density, but there would still be dimensional standards that they would need variances from. That's why the Board of Adjustment sign is there. So just wanted to make that quick note.
Thank you for that clarity.
North, south, and west of the request are zoned R5, and east of the request is zoned R7. This is the aerial map of the subject property in the surrounding area. North, south, and west of the request have single-family dwellings, and east of the request have duplexes, multifamily dwellings. In recommending approval of this request, staff notes that the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan designates this property as urban general on the future built form map and as residential on the future land use map. The site is also located on the periphery of the Windsor-Chavis-Nocho Activity Center. The proposed rezoning request supports the comprehensive plan's filling in our framework goal to arrange land uses for a more vibrant and livable Greensboro, and the Creating Great Places goal to expand Greensboro's citywide network of unique neighborhoods, offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices. The proposed R7 zoning district is primarily intended to accommodate low to moderate single-family residential developments. The overall gross density in R7 shall not exceed 7 units per acre. The request would permit uses that are present on adjacent tracts. And with that, I can answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Okay, then we will close the public hearing, and I will entertain a motion for the rezoning.
Commissioner Nichols will make the motion.
Thank you.
In the matter Z25, I guess first we
Wait,
have
can
to...
we do one thing? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Does the applicant wish to say anything? Is the applicant here?
The applicant is here.
Would you like to say something? I'm sorry. Thank you. Now, I'm sorry.
And I think I need a second. Someone needs to second the motion.
First make the motion, and then we'll do the second. This is a rezoning. It's a regular...
Yeah. In the matter Z25-03-006, the Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the rezoning request for the property at 1505 Gorell Street from R5 residential single family to R7 residential single family 7 to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 comprehensive plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. One, the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's future built form map and future land use map. Two, the proposed R7 zoning district permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on the adjacent properties. Three, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Oh, Mr. Downing, thank you so much. It's a little bit confusing because with the annexation, it's fast, and then we do the second right away. So I would like to take a vote now. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes 9-0. And Mr. Saldanza, this approval constitutes a final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and an appeal fee paid within 10 days. Anyone may file such appeal. All such appeals will be subject to a public hearing on Tuesday, April 15th, 2025 City Council meeting. All adjoining property owners will be notified of any such appeals. Thank you for coming. The next item on our agenda is item PLP 25-14 and Z 25-03-007, an annexation and original zoning request from County AG Agricultural to CDLI Conditional District Light Industrial for properties identified as a portion of 3725 and a portion of 3739 and all of 3751 McConnell Road, generally described as east of McConnell Road, north of I-40 and west of I-840, 32 west of I-840.
I apologize. That is my mistake. The subject property is 1606 Youngs Mill Road, and that the property is located south of Youngs Mill Road and east of Circle View Drive. I apologize for that. It's my mistake.
Okay, so we had the wrong street address. Okay, so
Yes, the wrong word.
this
I apologize.
is in regard to 1606
That's correct.
Youngs Mill Road.
Yes,
Okay, thank you very much, and this is an RM5.
that's correct. So
Okay.
what the screen should say is that this is POP 2514 and Z-25-03-007, which is correct, but this is for 1606 Youngs Mill Road, and it is an annexation and original zoning request from County RS40 to City R5. And the property is located south of Youngs Mill Road and east of Circle View Drive, and the property is approximately 0.9 acres. Apologize.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. All right, would the applicant like to make any comments, or have you presented it at all? Will you present it?
Let me go through the
Thank you.
surrounding zonings. And
You've thrown
turn
us
that
off
over.
here. Okay, thank you. We'll hear from you first.
So this is the zoning map of the subject property. Subject property is currently vacant, and you'll notice that to the north, there are single-family dwellings zoned County RS20, and to the east, south, and west are single-family dwellings, all zoned County RS40. And this is the aerial map showing single-family dwellings on all sides. In recommending approval of this request, staff notes that the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan designates the site as urban general on the future built form map and residential on the future land use map. The proposed original zoning request supports both the comprehensive plan's Creating Great Places goal to expand Greensboro's citywide network of unique neighborhoods, offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices, and the Filling in Our Framework big idea to arrange our land uses for where we live, work, attend school, shop, and enjoy our free time to create a more vibrant and livable Greensboro. The proposed R5 zoning district is primarily intended to accommodate low-density, single-family, detached residential development up to 5 units per acre. The request permits uses that are present on adjacent tracts. And with that, I can answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Does the commission have any questions? Seeing none, would the applicant like to make any comments? You have up to 2 minutes. I believe you're here, Mr. Rayler. Okay, thank you very much. Seeing none, without further objection, we'll close the public hearing. I will entertain a motion.
Commissioner Keith Peace, I make a motion that we annex.
The annexation. Thank you.
Annex 1606 Youngers Mills Road, that's PLP-25-14.
Commissioner
Gilmore, second.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson and Mr. Gilmore. Okay, now we will take a vote. All those in favor signify by raising your arm and saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes 9-0. Now we need the regular motion.
Commissioner Keith Peace, and item Z-25-03-007, the Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its actions to recommend approval of the original zoning request for the property at 1606 Younger Mill Road from County RS 40 Residential Single Family to City R5 Residential Single Family 5 to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public's interest for the following reasons. The request is consistent with comprehensive plans, future built form map, and future land use map. The proposed city R5 zoning district permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on the adjacent properties. The request is reasonable due to the size, physical condition, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. I need a second.
Commissioner Gilmore, second.
Thank you, Mr. Gilmore. Now we will take a vote. All those in favor signify by raising your arm and saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes 9-0. This constitutes a favorable recommendation and is subject to a public hearing at the April 15th, 2025 City Council meeting. The next item on our agenda is item Z25-03-008, a rezoning request for CDRM 8, Conditional District Residential Multifamily 8, to CDRM 8, Conditional District Residential Multifamily 8, for the property identified as 706 and 730 Brigham Road, generally described as each of Brigham Road and south of Pleasant Ridge Road, 19.68 acres. And this is a case that we heard previously that we're hearing again because of additional new conditions. Thank you. Hello, Ms. Harrison.
Thank you, Chairman Gill. This is an image of the zoning map, and the subject properties contain approximately 19.68 acres and are located east of Brigham Road and south of Pleasant Ridge Road. This is a rezoning request from CDRM 8, Conditional District Residential Multifamily 8, to CDRM 8, Conditional District Residential Multifamily 8. North of the request is Zone BP, Business Park. East of the request is Zone BP, Business Park, and CDRM 12, Conditional District Residential Multifamily 12. South of the request is Zone CDRM 18, Conditional District Residential Multifamily 18, and PUD, Planned Unit Development. West of the request is Zone R3, Residential Single Family 3. BP, Business Park, and PUD, Planned Unit Development. This is an image of the aerial map The subject properties currently contain undeveloped land and agricultural land. North of the request contains single-family dwellings and a multi-tenant office building. East of the request contains North Carolina Highway 68, multifamily dwellings and undeveloped land. South of the request contains single-family dwellings and multifamily dwellings under construction. West of the request contains single-family dwellings, multifamily dwellings, and undeveloped land. The applicant has proposed 2 conditions, and these are the new conditions associated with this request. In recommending approval, staff, the GSO 2040 comprehensive plan designates this site as urban general. On the future built form map, the future land use map references the Western Area Plan. The Western Area Plan designates the property as employment area. The recommendations of this planning area envision land use patterns that have not been realized and do not match with the uses on the ground. The proposed rezoning request supports the comprehensive plans, filling in our framework goal to arrange land uses for a more vibrant and livable Greensboro, and creating great places goal to expand Greensboro's citywide network of unique neighborhoods, offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices. The proposed CD RN8 zoning district, as conditioned, would allow for multifamily dwellings and uses that are compatible with the designation. Care should be taken with respect to building orientation, building materials, building height, and visual buffers to ensure an appropriate transition to the lower density residential uses on adjacent properties.
Thank you, Ms. Harrison. Does the commission have any questions? Okay.
Not a question, but I see a lot of flipping going on. Ms. Maggott and I had the benefit of talking to staff over this. This is a case of changing one word. What we approved last August was for 90 townhouse units, and this request is to change the language to 90 dwelling units. It's the only that's the
Thank you. I was
main
going to point
change.
that out, but I appreciate it, Chair Skanes. Okay, so would the applicant has up to 2 minutes to speak. Ms. Matthews, would you like to come forward? Thank you.
Good evening, Madam McGid and members of the commissioners.
Please give your name and address.
Matthews, 101 South Tryon Street, Charlotte, North Carolina. Thank you for that. You stole my thunder, but it was just going to be to provide that explanation. Conditional zonings are, you have to strike a fine balance between providing the city with certainty and specificity, and providing the developer with flexibility. So when this was before you before, we erred on the side of specificity, and so we are just changing that one word to allow for a variety of housing types. Before it was limited to townhomes, and now we are allowing or asking to be allowed to have a mixture of single-family housing, and the condition is a little bit wider than that to allow for that flexibility. I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Does the commission have any questions now? Thank you for that clarity. That really helped tremendously. So seeing none, we will close the public hearing, and I will entertain a motion.
Yes, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a motion for agenda item number Z25-03008. And the Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the rezoning request for the properties at 706 and 730 Brigham Road from CDRM8, Conditional District Residential Multifamily 8, to CDRM8, Conditional District residential multifamily 8 to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 comprehensive plan and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. Number one, the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's future built form map and future land use map. Number two, the proposed CDRM8 zoning district as condition permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on the adjacent properties. That one word matters. Number three, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It would benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Thank you, Mr. Downing. I need a second, please.
Seconded.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Now we will take the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes 9-0. This approval constitutes a final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and the appeal fee paid within 10 days. Anyone may file such appeal. All such appeals will be subject to a public hearing on Tuesday, April 15th, 2025, City Council meeting. All adjoining property owners will be notified of any such appeal. Thank you. The next item on our expedited agenda is Z25-03-009, a rezoning request from CDO Conditional District Office to CDO Conditional District Office for the property identified as 1517 Bartow Place, generally described as west of Bartow to Place and south of Phillips Avenue, 0.46 acres. Thank you, Mr. Carter.
Thank you, Chair Magid. This is the zoning map of the subject property showing that it is currently zoned Conditional District Office, and the rezoning request is to go to Conditional District Office. This is very similar to the previous request where the current zoning district on the property is very prescriptive, and it limits the uses to just a couple uses, and they are requesting a rezoning to another very prescriptive zoning condition that would limit the uses to just a daycare center. So that's the reason for the rezoning.
Thank you.
North of the request is zoned Conditional District Office. East and south of the request are zoned R5, and west of the request is zoned Commercial Low. This is the aerial map of the subject property showing that it currently contains, it's not occupied currently, but it was a social service facility. North of the request is a religious assembly use. East and south of the request contains single-family dwellings, and west of the request contains a religious assembly use and undeveloped land. This is the condition that was proposed by the applicant. As you note, it's for a daycare center. And in recommending approval of the request, staff notes that the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan designates the site as urban general on the future built form map and residential on the future land use map. The proposed rezoning request supports both the comprehensive plan's filling in our framework goal to arrange. It's not both, it's just it's what I have listed here. The comprehensive plan's filling in our framework goal to arrange our land uses to create a more vibrant and livable Greensboro. The proposed CD office conditional district, as proposed, limits uses available on the subject property to a daycare center. The proposed use is complementary to the surrounding area, and I can answer any questions that you have at this time.
So just to clarify, previously it was residents could live there and there could be housing, and now they have brought it down to just daycare center. That's one of the things that could be there.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So thank you. Would the applicant like to make any comments? We have up to 2 minutes. Oh, thank you. Okay, Ms. Benjamin. All right. Seeing none, we will, and if there's no questions from the commission, we will close the public hearing, and I will entertain a motion for the rezoning.
Commissioner Keith Peterson, item Z-25-03-009. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its actions to recommend approval of the rezoning request for the property at 1517 Bartow Place from CD-O Conditional District Office to CD-O Conditional District Office to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public's interest for the following reasons. The request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's future built form map and future land use map. The proposed CD-O zoning district as condition permits the uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. The request is reasonable due to the size, physical condition, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public's interest.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Do I have a second?
Commissioner Gilmore, second.
Thank you, Mr. Gilmore. So we will take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. All those opposed? That passes 9-0. And I'd just like to say, Ms. Benjamin, welcome to Greensboro. I know you have a facility in High Point, and we're glad to have you here in Greensboro as well. The next item on our agenda is Z25-03-010, a rezoning request from PUD Planned Unit Development to PUD Planned Unit Development, and consideration of the associated Unified Development Plan for the properties identified as 201 Easter Lane and 600 Guilford College Road, and 930 and 950 and 955 Bridford Parkway, generally described as south of Bridford Parkway and west of Guilford College Road, 20.75 acres. Thank you, It's Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Chair Magid. This is the zoning map of the area, showing that the subject properties contain approximately 20.705 acres and are located south of Bridford Parkway and west of Guilford College Road. North of the request is zoned RM12, residential multifamily 12, and HI, heavy industrial. East of the request is zoned R3, residential single family 3, CDRM18, conditional district residential multifamily 18, and CDCM, conditional district commercial medium. South of the request is zoned LI, light industrial, and west of the request is zoned HI, heavy industrial, and LI, light industrial. This is the aerial map showing that the subject property currently contains multifamily dwellings and undeveloped land. North of the request contains multifamily dwellings and heavy equipment rental services. East of the request contains multifamily dwellings, indoor-outdoor recreation, and undeveloped land. South of the request contains a religious assembly use and a multi-tenant industrial park. That's a former religious assembly use. And west of the request contains a religious assembly use and a chemical manufacturing facility. These are the conditions that were advertised associated with the request, and similar to the previous couple cases, it's modifying, in particular, the second condition to increase the number of uses available for the applicant. In recommending approval of the request, staff noted that the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan's future built form map designates the subject property as urban general and within an urban mixed-use corridor. The Comprehensive Plan's future land use map designates the property as commercial. Staff noted that the proposed rezoning request supports the Comprehensive Plan's filling in our framework big idea to encourage higher density, mixed-use, walkable infill development, and that it also supports the Comprehensive Plan's growing economic competitiveness big idea to build a prosperous, resilient economy that creates equitable opportunities to succeed. Staff noted that the proposed PUD zoning designation as condition would allow for a mix of residential and non-residential uses in immediate proximity to manufacturing, other residential uses, and large-scale commercial activity. The request also provides an appropriate transition between the adjacent industrial uses located to the west and various residential uses located further north and east. This request adjusts the mixture of residential and non-residential uses within the previously rezoned area while maintaining the general development pattern that was previously approved. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I was going to say something, but Ms. Hodern, would you like to come up and speak? No? Okay, I just wanted to say that in the first condition, we've added dwelling there again, and in the second condition, this was previously passed in October of 2021, and it's now more restricted, these uses.
Chair Megan?
Yes.
I just wanted to point out that for this matter, and at least the one right before, the date for our meetings says January 13th instead of March 18th, and I don't know if there are others that it would apply to, but I was just going to point that out.
Thank you, Ms. Turner.
Thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate that. Okay, so this is the difference in this particular presentation. So without further ado, we'll close the public hearing. Thank you, Mr. Nelson. I will entertain a motion.
Commissioner Keith Peterson, item Z-25-03-010. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its actions to recommend approval of the rezoning request for the properties at 5201 Easter Lane, 600 Guilford College Road, and 930, 950, and 955 Brifford Parkway from PUD Plan Unit Development to PUD Plan Unit Development, and consideration of the associated Unified Development Plan to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. The request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's future built form map and future land use map. The proposed PUD zoning district as condition permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on the adjacent properties. The request is reasonable due to the size, physical condition, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. I need a second. Thank you, Ms. Turner, for the second. We will take a vote now. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your arm.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? That passes 9-0. Yes, we'll get to that in 1 minute. Let's see, this constitutes, let me see, I lost my place. Hold on 1 minute. A final action. But first, we would like to do the UDP. We need to do a UDP as well. And I will just read that this is a final action for the rezoning. Unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and an appeal fee paid within 10 days, anyone may file such appeal. All such appeals will be subject to a public hearing at the Tuesday, April 15th, 2025 City Council meeting, and all adjoining property owners will be notified of any such appeal. And we usually do the rezoning first and then the UDP. So now we need the UDP.
I'll make a motion for Z-25-03010 for approval of the Unified Development Plan.
Thank you, Ms. Turner, and I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. So now we will take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
All those opposed? That passes 9-0. And is that a recommendation? Or is that a final action?
It's a final action.
I thought that was. So do I have to read it's a final action into the record? Okay. This approval constitutes a final action unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and the appeal fee paid within 10 days. Anyone may file such appeal. All such appeals will be subject to a public hearing at the Tuesday, April 15th, 2025 City Council meeting, and all adjoining property owners will be notified of any such appeal. So now we will go back to our regular agenda. Thank you. And the first item on our regular agenda is Z25-03-003, a rezoning request from R5 Residential Single Family 5 to CDRM8 Conditional District Residential Multifamily 8 for the property identified at 4401 Rehoboth Church Road, generally described as east of Rio Beth Church Road and south of Glendale Drive, 14.74 acres. And Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Chair Magid. So with the zoning map of the area here, you can see the subject property is currently zoned R5, and north of the request is zoned R5, residential single family 5, and R7, residential single family 7. East and south of the request are zoned R5. West of the request is zoned R5 and CDRM 18, conditional district residential multifamily 18. The aerial map of the area showing that the subject property is currently undeveloped land. North of the request contains single-family dwellings as well as drainageway and open space. East of the request contains single-family dwellings and common elements. South of the request contains a religious assembly use in undeveloped land. And west of the request contains single and multifamily dwellings. This image shows the subject property as seen from Rehoboth Church Road. This image shows the subject property as seen further down on Glendale Drive. And this image shows the subject property as seen from Valley Oak Drive. This image shows a single-family dwelling located north of the request on Rehoboth Church Road, zoned R5. This image shows a single-family dwelling located north of the request on Loney Circle, zone R5. This image shows a single-family dwelling located north of request on Arta Lane, zone R7. And this image shows another single-family dwelling located north of the request on Arta Lane, zone R7. This image shows open space and drainage way located east of the request, zone R5. This image shows undeveloped land located east of the request on Valley Oak Drive, zone R5. This image shows a religious assembly use located south of the request, zone R5. This image shows multifamily dwellings located west of the request, zone CDRM 18. And this image shows an example of the single-family dwellings located west of the request, zone R5. This view is facing south on Rehoboth Church Road. The subject property here is on the left. And this view is facing north on Rehoboth Church Road. The subject property is on the right. This view is facing east on Glendale Drive. The subject property here is on the right. And this view is facing west on Glendale Drive. The subject property here is on the left. This view is facing south on Arta Lane. The subject property here is directly in front. And this view is facing east on Valley Oak Drive. The subject property is directly behind you in this view. And these are the conditions that were requested by the applicant and advertised associated with the request. And in recommending approval of the request, staff noted that the GSO 2040 comprehensive plan designates the site as urban general on the future built form map and residential on the future land use map. The proposed rezoning request supports the comprehensive plan's filling in our framework goal to arrange land uses for a more vibrant and livable Greensboro, as well as the creating great places goal to expand Greensboro's citywide network of unique neighborhoods, offering residents of all walks of life a variety of quality housing choices. Staff noted that the proposed CDRM 8 zoning district as conditioned would limit uses to single-family detached dwellings, zero lot line dwellings, duplexes, traditional houses, townhouses, and twin homes. The proposed uses are compatible with the existing uses in the surrounding area, and that care should be taken with respect to building orientation, building materials, building height, and visual buffers to ensure an appropriate transition to the lower density residential uses on adjacent properties. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. I just had a question for staff. Was there anyone, we don't have a sheet showing opposition.
There should have been one person sign up in opposition on the sheet, and then we have at least one person online as in opposition.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, if the applicant would come forward, thank you so much, Mr. Nelson. Come forward, you have up to 10 minutes. Please give us your name and address.
Madam Chair and members of the Commission, my name is Nick Blackwood, 804 Green Valley Road here in Greensboro. I've got some materials to pass out if that's all right.
Thank you, Mr. Blackman.
So I'm here on behalf of the property owner, Saman Brothers Holdings. They'll be the land developer for this project. They purchased the property a couple of years ago, and they have an agreement with a home builder who's actually going to build upon the developed lot. So applicant Saman Brothers, they're the property owner. They intend to develop townhomes on this property. It'd be a 99-unit townhome community. And if you'd flip with me to your first page in your packet, just to cover the zoning conditions again that staff just went through. And as you saw in a case a little earlier.
Real quick, can we put that up on the screen? Just because I know we have people online, so I'll make sure they can see the information.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Okay. So the intent is to develop townhomes. As you saw in the case a few minutes ago, we do want to build in some flexibility for other single-family housing types and not limit ourselves just to townhomes. But essentially what that first condition does is rule out the possibility of any traditional vertical apartments. We've also included a building height condition. The R5 zoning district is currently zoned permits single-family homes up to 50 feet. So we've limited that to 35 feet below what's already permitted on site. That would accommodate a two-story townhome unit. And you'll notice a couple slides from now when we look at our illustrative sketch, there's a fairly extensive stream buffer area along our eastern property line. So doubtful that we would be performing any stream crossings anyways, but just to give assurance to neighbors in those existing single-family communities to the east, we went ahead and prohibited any vehicular access to those single-family communities.
Great.
Just to give you a little flavor, a slightly more expanded view of GIS aerial. So you see to the north, Glendale Drive. Running along the western side there is Rehoboth Church Road. I-85's to the south, Highway 220 you see on the left-hand side of your page. And Randleman Road you can see running up the east side of the right-hand side of the page there. So our property is the one that's highlighted in red. So in staff reference, a couple of the existing multifamily projects in the area directly west across Rehoboth Church Road. Those are those CDR M18 zoning districts that you see immediately west. I also wanted to point out some of the other existing multifamily districts in the vicinity. So we're not introducing a novel use here by proposing this RM8 zoning to accommodate townhome development. There's already an existing mix of both single-family and multifamily districts in the vicinity. So on the next slide, you'll see an illustrative sketch plan. Now, this sketch plan has been through preliminary TRC sketch plan review. No major red flags identified as far as impacts on that stream or our access point on Glendale Drive. And I'll get into our community outreach in a bit, but I think that you may hear some concerns with regard to that stream, stormwater runoff, how we're going to control that, as well as the proposed location of our access drive on Glendale. All of those technical points will obviously be handled during TRC site plan review. I just wanted to point out those concerns. And obviously, you'll see that sketch plan on the east-hand side of the property where that stream is, there's a fairly extensive existing vegetative buffer. So that will remain as part of the stream buffer area. That's not going to be disturbed. And like I said, we're going to have the one access point on Glendale Drive. We've heard from emergency services that in order for us to exceed 99 units, we would need a second access point. So we know that we're going to be capped at 99 units here. Just to give you an idea of the product type that the home builder is looking at developing here. So as I mentioned, a two-story product. They're looking to incorporate garages, and that's been factored into their parking calculations on that sketch plan. So that's already been factored in, and we know that they're going to do garages. And then a couple of examples from our home builder. There are two communities that they're looking at modeling this community after. One is in Clayton, one is in Wilson. You'll see that there's a mix of building materials and colors. We did hear, a concern with respect to wanting a building materials condition. So I think it's a little easier to see on this example with this particular product type and what they're trying to do in breaking up the aesthetic and not just having a cookie cutter kind of uniform facade across the entire site. They're looking at having different mixes of building materials on each particular unit. So on some of the units you'll see they're predominantly brick. Other units don't have any brick at all, but they're wanting to do that to break up the aesthetic. So it makes it challenging to incorporate a uniform building materials condition across the entirety of the site. And that last page there, that's our notice letter that we mailed to neighboring property owners on the city's notification list within that 750-foot radius. We held a neighborhood meeting on March 3rd. There were 10 or so folks in attendance. And as I referenced earlier, the primary concerns were existing traffic on Glendale, the location of that proposed access drive on Glendale, and existing stormwater concerns. There are some pipes on the property that were referenced. They're really non-functional pipes. I'm not sure when they were installed or who installed them, but those will not serve as part of our stormwater control measures. Those will be addressed as part of site plan review, and our stormwater control system will alleviate that existing flooding problem. So those problems will be done away with in connection with our development. As far as the existing traffic on Glendale, we did not, we weren't required to submit a traffic impact study. We don't reach the unit threshold to meet that requirement from the city. And then when you look at what's currently permitted across our site at R5 zoning, you could build 73 homes. So what we're proposing at 99 units is really not a substantial increase in the total unit count that would generate a tremendous amount of traffic above and beyond what's currently permitted. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Commissioner Peace, I got a question. Being that this property has a high incline,
Mr. Peterson, I'm sorry, can you speak into your microphone?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Being that this property has a high incline in terms of the land from Glendale, you notice the slope. I'm trying to figure out what does that look like for that entrance on Glendale. Are you guys going to excavate the land so it can come to street level of Glendale, or leave it on an incline?
So that's going to be an engineering determination, but I do know that there are grade requirements for that access. So if it's insufficient for and perhaps Nolan can speak to that, we're probably going to have to do some grading to meet those requirements. I can't tell you what the extent of that will be, but they do have standards for those access points.
And that'll be the only entrance and exit to this property on Glendale, not Rehoboth Church?
Correct, yeah. We don't have enough frontage on Rehoboth Church for a second access. Excuse me. And I anticipate what our engineer thinks is that the access point will more or less align with Arda Lane, but again, that'll be a determination during site plan review in coordination with both GDOT and NZDOT in obtaining that driveway permit.
Any other questions?
I just have a clarification. You mentioned something about the pipes will be replaced or something, or the water?
Yes, and I actually have a couple of pictures so I can show you.
Okay.
It may be a little difficult to see here just with the lighting, but you can see on this, those are the mouths of the pipes in the middle of the page on that right-hand picture, and then you can see the pipes on the left-hand side. It looks like they're kind of busted, and they're just not functional right now. So again, that's going to be a technical issue to be addressed during site planning,
Okay.
but understanding that was a concern and neighbors wanted to address that and let everyone know that will be fixed.
Excellent. Thank you.
I had a question. At your outreach community engagement meeting, did the concern about the stream and the flooding and the broken pipes come up in that meeting?
It did. Yes.
And it was discussed, and you explained what you're explaining to us, to
Yes.
the community.
So we explained that that would be, addressed as part of our site planning. Now, we did not have these pictures during that meeting. Our guys actually went out and took these pictures in response to the comments that we heard, just so we could get a better understanding of what the concerns were. But our engineer confirmed that, yes, these will be replaced with our stormwater control system that'll be installed in connection with our development.
And just for clarity, Mr. Kirkman, that would be the next step after our land use decision here. The technical review committee would then...
Correct, right. They would have to submit a site plan to the city, and as part of that review, this would be one of many things that the city would be evaluating and making sure that they are addressing any potential impacts, any public safety concerns, et cetera, through the technical review.
Thank you. And Mr. Duchamp, so that would, the concern about these issues, could you clarify for us whether it's something we should be concerned about at this point? Or
I would just echo what Mr. Kirkman said. It is addressed subsequent to this process in the technical review process.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that clarity. Sorry to interrupt your presentation.
Just for context, Mr. Blackwood, approximately what kind of square footage are each of these dwelling units?
So I don't know that that's been determined yet.
Okay.
They're not going to be enormous townhome units, more or less in line with what you would see with single-family product in the area, just attached.
Okay. And I noticed in the entire development, there's only excess parking for like 14 spaces. Has somebody reviewed that and determined that that's sufficient for 90 units of dwelling? Dwelling units?
So with our garage parking paired with our driveway parking, I believe that we meet the requirements for parking with the townhomes. That comment did not come up in our preliminary TRC review. So it's my understanding that the parking as shown on our sketch plan meets the city's requirements.
Thank you.
And I will just add, in order to approve the plan, we will verify that it's meeting all the requirements.
Thanks.
I just wanted to know if there was outreach to the Banner Oaks Court people over there, if anybody from that area came to the meeting, or was there any outreach there, or could you discuss outreach for us a little bit more?
Yeah, so we mailed out the notice letter that you see in your packet. Banner Oaks being the single-family community to the east. Yes. Yeah. Now, on our call, we had 10 or so folks in attendance. Not all of them spoke, so I'm not sure. There may have been some neighbors from Banner Oaks on the call, but they did not bring up any concerns or didn't have any questions with respect to our development.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I suspect in large part due to the fact that we're not going to have any connectivity to their communities, and there's that healthy buffer between our site and theirs.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you. Any other questions? Do we have anyone else? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Blackman. Anyone else? Did we use all the time for that? For those in favor? Is there anyone else that wanted to speak in favor?
Yeah, we still have a little bit of time on the clock if anyone else is in favor.
Sorry?
We still have some time on the clock if
Yes.
anyone else is in
Is there
favor.
anyone else that wanted to speak in favor of this? Okay. So now next, anyone wishing to speak in opposition has up to 10 minutes to speak. Is there anyone that wanted to speak in opposition? Is there anyone online? Because we had two names here, a Roy Jackson and a Robin Cheesley.
Yes, Chair Maggie.
Yes.
Ms. Shealy is online.
Thank you.
Yes, this is Robert Cheeley, and I live at number 2 Loney Circle, and I am an adjoining property owner. I did think it was interesting that they chose to notify property owners within 750 feet when one of the earlier applicants indicated that they used 900 just so they wanted to involve more property owners. So I thought that was interesting that they did not follow through with this process. My major concern about this project is that it is going to use an entrance off of Glendale. And what was presented to us at that meeting was that they were going to make it even with Ultra Lane. It would be impossible to make it even with Glendale because then you would be at the creek. So they wanted to make it even with Ultra Lane. Ultra Lane is not a state-supported highway. It is more of a driveway that goes down through that development. If they were to make it even with Ultra Lane, there is a blind spot for anybody coming down Glendale over Rehoboth Church Road, being unable to see a car coming out that way, as well as if there was a car coming out of that development, they would be unable to see over the Glendale Rehoboth Church Road, again because of that hill creates that blind spot. As it already is, traffic comes down. I live at the bottom of the little hill, and it's much more of a hill than most people think it is because they don't realize it when it's snowing that they not going to make it up the next hill. Is that water pools in that area, and there are most often times when the police will have to come out and close that road for a while after a heavy rain because that water pools and they can't make it through there. So using that as an egress doesn't seem logical to me at all, and I live there. The other thing is I don't think the area is prepared to receive this as a egress because of the water issues, and we made them aware of the water issues because they were not aware of it previous to that. And at the same time, there are no sidewalks in this area. And so for people who are walking, they generally walk on our side of the street, on my side of the road, and they walk in our yard all day and all night, particularly during the summer when school is out and the young people are out and about. There was much conversation made earlier as part of your hearings about making sure that you have a mixture that supports the community. This would not be a mixture that we think supports the community. It will, because they are attached, it will look as if it is an apartment complex. And we have a number of more than enough apartment complexes in this area. It would be nice if we could have some separated single-family dwellings that would help us as we try to improve our average economic income for the area so we could attract some additional restaurants and grocery stores and those things that oftentimes use the economic index to determine where they will and will not locate. This does not seem like an appropriate use for this property, and definitely not an appropriate use for where they would like to locate a driveway. I can't see them being able to go up further and locate a driveway, nor come down much further, because again, they would be at the creek, or the state dumped that dirt in that area when they were building the 40 bypass. And so nobody ever made any recommendations about what they ought to do about it. They just dumped the dirt, and the water flows down there all the time. So I can't imagine anybody would even want to live there, knowing that there's some issues with how that water flows.
Thank you. I'd just like to address one issue that you mentioned, which was the radius around the ordinance. We're required to do 750 feet around the property. Is that correct, Mr. Kirkman? And 900 is not required.
Right, and I'm not completely clear. I think Ms. Cheeley may be referring to a different applicant and some outreach that they did. But yes, the minimum requirement is 750 feet from the edge of the property in a circumference around it.
Right. And Ms. Cheeley, I didn't get your address. I'm sorry, I didn't hear it, and I wanted to look at the map.
I'm sorry, I'm at number 2, Loney Circle. So I'm at the corner of Loney Circle in Glendale.
Okay, thank you. And
the reason why I said 900 is that I know for a fact that the 2 people who are on Ultra Lane are renters at this point, and so the owners are probably not receiving, or if they do receive this information, they are not as concerned about what's happening now because they're no longer living in the area.
And we'll let the applicant respond to that part. The other thing that I heard you talk about was sidewalks on Glendale, and that they would be required to have sidewalks on Glendale. So now, Mr. Kirkman, is that the end of the opposition? Is there anyone else that wants to speak in opposition at this point?
We're not aware of anyone else speaking in
No one
opposition.
online? Okay, thank you. So now we will have 5 minutes of rebuttal time. But I'd just like to address the applicant. Will you come up and respond to? Thank you.
Again, this is Nick Blackwood, 804 Green Valley Road. Certainly appreciate Ms. Cheely's concerns. It's beyond my expertise to design where the access should be located. I think that's a technical decision for the engineers in the city to make in coordination with one another. I do know that it's a state secondary road, so not only will GDOT have their eyes on the site plan, but NCDOT will as well. Multiple layers of review there before we're able to obtain a driveway permit. So just beyond my scope, and I believe beyond the scope of what's to be considered by this commission, but that will certainly be addressed during the site plan review. And same goes to the stormwater concerns. As to the mailing radius, we use the same radius that the city uses, the 750 feet, and we are aware of some interested stakeholder groups in the area that are outside of that radius. I think Cheryl with the Southeast Coalition is here. We did send them a letter, as we typically do for any rezoning case in District 1. So, we did attempt our best to notify people in the area. As far as property owners versus renters, I think that the property owners are the real stakeholders. I'm sure there may be renters in single-family homes all over the place, and if they're significantly disturbed by our project, that's the beauty of being a renter, is you have the flexibility to move. So it really impacts the property owners.
I'd like to hear a little bit more about the neighborhood meeting, the community meeting, how many people attended, and what was said there.
Sure. Yeah, so 10 or so attended the meeting, and primary questions were the points that Ms. Cheely brought up, those technical site planning issues. Where is our access onto Glendale going to be, and how are you going to address the existing stormwater issues with the stream and those pipes that are located on the site? Existing traffic on Glendale was brought up, but again, with our proposed project, our 99 townhomes compared to what's currently permitted, being 73 single-family homes, I don't see a real distinction and impact between what could be developed now and what we're requesting with this rezoning.
And after the meeting, was there any follow-up with people who were concerned about some of these aspects, or just give us a better feeling about what happened in the meeting? Did they feel comfortable with what you said, or so forth?
Sure. So I followed up with several email exchanges with the Southeast Coalition. I did send a separate email to Ms. Cheely after we had an opportunity to circle up with our team, talk to the engineers. Our folks went out on site and obtained those pictures, asking if we could either meet on the property or at her home, and did not receive response back to that email.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commissioners?
Yeah, I got a question. And I know it's not within your purview, as you said, where the entrance will be is technical review. But in this sketch plan, from standing on the property, stand on top of the property, and if you look to the north of it, that's Glendale. If you see Rover Church, and it's Glendale right there, you can't see the bottom of the street if you're standing on the property. And my question is to you, how much influence would you have with the engineers of possibly, and I know it'll help the residents in that area, of I see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 units facing Rehoboth Church, right? Shifting 1 unit to Glendale to have room to make an entrance on Rehoboth Church. Because I noticed that south of that is, I think that's a church or another residence, south of that. South of that is a residence right there. Yeah, that's a residence. Maybe shifting 1 unit to that Glendale side and making an entrance on Rehoboth Church. And I mean, that could, to me, alleviates a lot of the issues in terms of people saying there's flooding and traffic issues with coming out on Glendale. Because, I mean, that you can turn that into a little playground for kids during the snow season. That hill is so deep.
Commissioner Peterson, obviously, I'll let Mr. Blackwood respond. I just want to gently remind the board, with it being a purely illustrative plan, I mean, we can't get too wedded to that conversation, period, because anything that he states, of course, we don't have locked in with a site plan. It's purely illustrative. I just want to gently remind the board of that.
And I will just add that we do check site distance at TRC and where their proposed driveways are. And as far as the option of putting it on Rehoboth Church Road, we would be concerned due to proximity to the traffic signal, having a road that close. So, but
Okay, let's stay on topic. We're here to determine the land use. Okay, let's stay on topic here. Any other questions in the rebuttal for Mr. Blackwood? No? Okay. Anything else you would like to say? Because you have 3 minutes. You have a few. Oh, they just reset it.
I think I'll turn the microphone over. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now we're here to hear the rebuttal in opposition.
We actually have another speaker for the rebuttal in favor, I believe, if I'm correct.
Oh,
about that.
speaker in favor. Okay. Please state your name and address.
Cheryl McIver, 404 West Mount Council Drive, Greensboro, North Carolina. Good evening. Of the Southeast Coalition, we were a part of the community outreach meeting, and we do thank Nick and his team and Isaacson for always involving us. We've worked with them extensively. The meeting went over, it was very long. Ms. Cheeley, and it was another resident that's closer to the project. I'm about a mile away. They did voice their concerns. Crystal Black, who you guys all know, she's right there on Glendale herself. She was the one that informed them about the black pipes that are, causing, we believe, some of the flooding issues that Ms. Cheeley may have been talking about. They sent an engineer out and found the pipes and also, gave us feedback on that would be part of their remediation when they build. We are generally supportive, and I say generally because we do feel like it's very dense for there and it is kind of tight, but we do recognize that the townhomes will bring a different type of housing than the R18s, than the single families. We got 5s, we got 3s, we got R18s, and so we welcome to see a variety of which we have been advocating for in this area. I do not discount Ms. Cheeley's concerns. I think they are very valid, but working with Isaacson's team, I feel like that they will ensure that whatever those concerns are will be mitigated and taken care of appropriately. Any questions for me? Okay, thank you.
I got a question. So you're satisfied with the interaction you had with Mr. Isaacson's team at the meeting?
Yeah, they are very attentive. They listen, and not many will go out, and I'll reference a prior project. We had to go out and take pictures of the blue lime stream, of the drains, of everything that we were talking about to bring to the table. They sent their engineers out to take the pictures, to look, to see what we were speaking of. We didn't have to go do that. They did that. They do feel like that's probably part of the reason for the flooding. Of course, we don't know all of that, right, until they get into the details of it. Very satisfied. I would like to say we did talk about building conditions a little bit, and we understand the variety, but we'll circle back on that. No aluminum siding. Okay. All right. Anything else?
Thank you, Ms.
All right, you're
McIver, for
welcome.
bringing that up. That was very helpful.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I want to make a motion.
Believe Ms. Cheely wants to speak in opposition for the
Okay.
rebuttal.
All right. We'll hear from Ms. Shealy in opposition now.
Number one, I think it is honorable that the Southeast.
It's not right. The clock is not right. It's showing 5 minutes, and we were down to like one.
No, this is the opposition rebuttal. 5 minutes is the correct time.
Oh, okay. I thought that was the rebuttal. I'm sorry.
Ms. McKeever spoke in favor as part of the rebuttal.
Oh, she was in favor. I'm sorry. Excuse me, Ms. Shealy.
No problem. All respect due to the Southeast Coalition, but the Southeast Coalition is not an adjourning property owner. And so if they were very concerned, if this group was very concerned about what the neighbors might think, then they would have involved the neighbors in this process. I did ask Mr. Blackwood if he would like to meet with me on any of those 3 days after we had this meeting, and he did not contact me. I did not receive an email, so it would be difficult for him to say I did not respond to the email if I did not receive an email from Mr. Blackman. My concern is still the original concern that was expressed. This is a blind spot. You cannot see at the place that he's talking about. It is impossible for the people who are trying to get out onto Glendale to be able to see. It is impossible for the people who are coming over the hill to be able to see. They indicated earlier that they did not have enough property to be able to have an egress onto Rehoboth Church Road. And I know while that's a technical issue that will be resolved, if they cannot use the egress on Glendale and they don't have enough property to use one on Rehoboth Church Road, then you have a complex with no way to enter or exit the complex. And while I went out and looked, because I was not shown, or we were not shown that night on the discussion, we were not shown a draft of what the houses could look, the townhouses would look like. And so when I went out to look online at some of the ones that they built previously, they do look like they look like little apartments, and they are small in size. And it would be nice if they could be separated so that we would have that mix in this community. We have enough public sliding housing that looks the same way. And so we will never be able to get our property or the income in the community increased as long as we keep getting the same thing over and over. This is not an appropriate spot. There is not an adequate amount of thought given into how the people would get in and out of the complex. And as a result, this would not be beneficial to this community.
Thank you very much. So I heard a few things here, and I just wanted. Is there anyone else that wanted to speak in opposition? There's 2 minutes and 11 seconds left. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So we're going to now, without further objection, close the public hearing. And I'll open it to any discussion that anyone would like to say or any additional comments before we take the motion.
Madam Chair, I'm satisfied with what Ms. Cheely has said, but also the Southeast region and the Southeast region. You know what I'm trying to say. Tired. The coalition and the developer as well I believe that once the developers get out there, or whoever, the technical review committee, that things will be smoothed over. But also, I was going through my email. Did not see any opposition in my email. I don't think maybe I saw one, but I'm not sure if all the others, I'm pretty sure they received notifications, but they're not evident tonight. And so we're speaking on the conditions of the 2040 comprehensive plan. And to me, this seems very consistent with us moving forward. It is, I looked at the property as well. I know Mr. Commissioner Peterson has as well. But I looked at the area and I see it as an opportunity for development, but also for growth for the city of Greensboro. So I'm going to be supporting it, and I'm ready to make a motion if there's any opposition.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes, I'm not in opposition to it. I support you on that. That property has been up for rezoning before. I think years ago it was up for apartments, and it was problems with it. So I'm glad to see the property come back on the market, and I'm glad I will be supporting it. Thank you.
Okay, so we need a rezoning motion to be made.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for agenda item Z25-03003. The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes its action to recommend approval of the rezoning request for the property at 4404 Rehoboth Church Road. Is that right? Okay. From R5 Residential Single Family Farm to CDRM 8 Conditional District Residential Multifamily 8 to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. Number one, the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's future built form map and future land use map. Number two, the proposed CDRM 8 zoning district as condition permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impact on the adjacent properties. Number three, the request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area, and it will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Thank you, Mr. Downing. I need a second.
Commissioner Gilmer, second.
Thank you, Mr. Gilmer. So we will now take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. All opposed? So we have 8 in favor and 1 against. This constitutes a final action that has, unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the planning department and the appeal fee paid within 10 days, anyone may file such appeal. All such appeals will be subject to a public hearing at the April 15th, Tuesday, City Council meeting, and all adjoining property owners will be notified of any such appeals. We have one more case. I think you need a break? Okay, let's take just a short break. Okay. Do you need a 10-minute break? We have to, we're going to take a 10-minute break and come right back. Thank you.
Recording stopped.
There's a new name for hockey in Greensboro. Say hello to the Gargoyles. Andy, what do you think about the Gargoyles?
Oh man, just over the moon. My inner gargoyle was ready to fly high all day. I had a hard time not saying it all day. I'm glad we made it to tonight, but special night. Huge thank you to the community for bringing that suggestion to us. I mean, this is Greensboro's team, and they have named it, and I thought they nailed it. I love it.
Yeah, so how did the name get to the team?
Yeah, so we had a couple thousand submissions from the community for various team names, and this was one of the leaders, and just instantly connected. So again, I thought it crushed it, and again, we're excited to see those uniforms and name eventually our NHL affiliate and first player signing, mascot. We got a lot more celebrations to come. This is just the first.
There is a lot to come. I don't know of any other gargoyles in the whole country. Have you ever heard of a team with a gargoyle?
No, and you know what's funny? Because, like, we hadn't either, and, like, once it was established that this is what it was going to be, we're like, we can't believe that there's never been a team named the Gargoyles. Right. Like, so, like, kudos to Greensboro. Like, again, this is, I think it's going to be a legendary name for generations to come, and Greensboro did it, so.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so let's just talk about the season really quickly. When does it start? How many games? What can we look forward to?
For sure. So we'll start mid-October, 36 home games, 72 whole games, and, of course, the playoffs, please. So, again, we're committed to winning on and off the ice, so provided we win on the ice as expected, but playoffs would be April, May, hopefully June. That would mean you're in the finals.
And we know Greensboro is home to some record-breaking crowds for not only hockey, but lots of other events. What are your predictions for this new team?
Yeah, I'm willing to say we're going to be among the leaders, if not the leader in attendance in the league. And I already told my wife, we got to break the record by at least one. So if there's no more seats and she needs to sit on my lap or I sit on her lap, whatever we got to do, we're going to break that record with the Gargoyles.
All right, Keaton, so what do you think about the Gargoyles?
I think it's a nice team. I think that it was a good pick for the team name.
Yeah, I think so too. Do you like hockey?
Kinda. My dad plays hockey and my dad's brother.
All right, Ashley, what brought you here tonight?
Hockey, of course. I'm excited. It's easier to come here than it is Raleigh, and hockey's back in Greensboro. Let's go.
When did you first start to love hockey?
Probably when it was like the Mighty Ducks, like D2, like back in the day, like in the 90s, and then when the Canes first started playing in Greensboro, and then, you know, it just kind of, my love for sports kind of fell into place there as well.
All right, JJ, what is in a name?
Oh, man, you know, you're hoping that when you pick a name, right, you can grab the essence of the city and the type of team that you want to give to the fans, right? And so we kind of cheat, right? We ask Greensboro, we ask the fans, we ask the community, what do you want the team to be? And we're really excited about it. You could hear the buzz kind of growing before the name was even shown on the screen, right? You could feel the buzz just by the promo video, who we are. We're really excited about the Gargoyle name. The fans are too. We couldn't be more excited about this.
All right, tell me about your connection to hockey.
So, you know, as a kid growing up, one of my earliest memories was going to Phoenix Roadrunner games. They were the AHL affiliate of the LA Kings, and I didn't know much about hockey. I'm from Arizona, so it's desert and what is ice and that whole thing. But I've always been a huge sports fan, played everything, done everything. And then within the last couple of years, got connected here with Zoyer, minor league hockey in a number of different markets, some baseball, and we just keep growing. I love sports. My wife loves sports, our kids, and we've always just kind of said, hey, anything that we can do to be a part of, to bring more sports to the Carolinas, we want to be a part of it. Greensboro is a fantastic location.
And so when you saw this crowd here tonight, what did that do for you?
I was blown away. Like, I was sitting up there and I was like, I'm legitimately nervous right now. We've done a couple of these since I've kind of joined, and they've been smaller events. Maybe you're talking, but maybe it's just to media, and all of a sudden you look out here, and I don't know what the official number is, but the salesman in me wants to say there's thousands of people here, right? And there really is, and that's really, really cool. It makes you more excited, puts a little pressure on us. Like, we want to deliver not only great hockey, but we want to be a part of this community. We want to give back to the community. Just even my time with the Panthers in Charlotte, so much of pro sports is being connected with the community. And so a great opportunity for us to do that and hopefully give this city a winning hockey team and someone they can be very proud of.
And a winning experience for families, for sure.
Absolutely. My wife and I, we take our kids all the time in Charlotte. We're going to be coming up here to a bunch of games. It's fun. Hockey is probably the best sport to watch live. Like, I'm not supposed to say that because I play football, but like, it's fun, it's fast-paced, It's great for families. We're thrilled.
Rep the Gargoyles and get your season tickets now at gargoyleshockey.com.
rezoning request for CL Commercial Low and CDO Commercial Conditional District Office for the property identified as 202 Denny Road, generally described as south of Denny Road and east of North Church Street, 0.78 acres. Mr. Carter.
Thank you, Chair Magid. This is the zoning map of the subject property. Subject property contains approximately 0.78 acres and is located south of Denny Road and east of North Church Street. This is a rezoning request from Commercial Low, designated as CL, to Conditional District Office, designated as CDO. North and south of the request are zoned R5. East of the request is zoned CL and R5. And west of the request is zoned Commercial Low. This is the aerial map of the subject property, which is currently undeveloped. North and east of the request contains single-family dwellings. South of the request contains undeveloped land, and west of the request contains single-family dwellings, a beauty salon, and an eating and drinking establishment without a drive-through facility. This image shows the subject property as seen from Denny Road. This image shows a single-family dwelling located northwest of the request on North Church Street, zoned R5. And this image shows single-family dwellings located north of the request on Denny Road, zoned R5. This image shows undeveloped land located northeast of the request, zoned R5. And this is a single-family dwelling located east of the request, zoned R5 and CL. So the residential zoning here is, or the residential zoning covers the single-family dwelling, and the CL portion is closer to the trees that you see on the right-hand side of the property. This image shows undeveloped land located south of the request on North Church Street, zoned R5. This image shows single-family dwellings and the beauty salon that is located west of the request, zone CL. And this image shows an eating and drinking establishment located east of the request, zone CL. This view is facing east on Denny Road. The subject property is on the right. And this view is facing west on Denny Road. The subject property is on the left. This is the condition that was proposed by the applicant. And in recommending approval of this request, staff notes that the GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan designates this property as urban general on the future built form map and residential on the future land use map. The proposed rezoning request supports the comprehensive plan's filling in our framework goal to arrange land uses for a more vibrant and livable Greensboro, and or to prioritize sustainability goal to build economic resilience, expanding the local economy's ability to withstand and adjust to disruptions and changes at the regional, national, and global scales. The proposed CDO zoning district, as conditioned, would allow various residential, office, and personal and professional services. The proposed uses are compatible with the uses present on adjacent tracts, and care should be taken with respect to building orientation, building materials, building height, and visual buffers to ensure an appropriate transition to the lower density residential uses on adjacent tracts. With that, I can answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. I just have a question. Is there still anyone here that wants to speak in opposition? Okay, I'm just checking. Thank you. All right. Would the applicant please come forward, and you have up to 10 minutes. Please give us your name and address.
Jahan Waller with J.C. Waller Associates, 4125 Walker Avenue, Greensboro. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Carl Davis, the property owner who's here as well. I'm here to answer any technical questions, but I do want to inform you of our outreach process, which is in that packet that we just handed out. We sent out 96 notices to the adjacent property owners. We had a neighborhood meeting on March 4th. And at that particular meeting, we had 6 attendees, with 3 of them being residents from the neighborhood. They did not really voice any concerns with the development proposal, which is to rezone the property so that the developer can do small-scale multifamily residential, whether it's a condominium, townhome, or a small apartment building type product. That has not been determined at this time. They're still doing their market studies. Have any questions?
I have one question.
Is that someone online?
Yes, Chair Magnin.
Okay, we have to wait for you. I'm sorry. You can ask your question in a moment. Okay, thank you very much. Exactly. Let's see. Does any of the commissioners have a question? I just had one question. So the difference between the L and O is the single-family detached dwelling, and this is for Mr. Kirkman, and the duplexes, and so that's the reason for the change from L to O, because of your intention. Is that correct?
So I guess there's 2 different questions here. Generally, your distinctions between commercial low and office are going to be residential options in office that do not exist in commercial low. There's also going to be, you can do like retail, for instance, in commercial low that you would not be able to do in the office district. But you can also do, offices themselves are allowed in both districts. Personal professional services are allowed in both districts. The size and scale of things are generally the same between the 2 districts on there. But yes, the residential component is certainly something that can be allowed in office that would not be allowed in commercial low. And then I'll let Mr. Waller speak more to that in terms of their plans.
That is correct. So a residential or a multifamily product would not be allowed in the current zoning designation. So we're going to what we believe is a less intensive designation to allow for the residential type use that fits more with the character of the neighborhood. The developer is looking to do similar materials on the property so that it blends in within the context and character of the surrounding development and neighborhood.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much. Is there anyone else that wants to speak in favor to this application? Okay. Then we will hear from those that are opposed to the application. Please come forward. And you have 10 minutes to speak. And we have a Roy Jackson online. Is he in favor or in opposition?
Yeah, he's
Right now,
in opposition.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
Yes. My name is David Hudson. I live at 205 Denny Road. Thank you for hearing me, council members. Yeah, we were told this was going to be office, not residential. So, we have a concern with that. That they should put a car counter on that road. The picture didn't show how steep those hills are. When you come off it's like a racetrack over there. These people come around the corner, and sometimes they'll pass me trying to pull in my driveway, and I have to wait till they go by. I mean, it's pretty bad. My neighbor knows what I'm talking about. And so it'd be a really dangerous place for people coming out of there to get out. I mean, there's no sidewalks. It's a very narrow road as it is. So, I mean, you've probably seen the road, but you can't see the hill. When you come off Church Street, it's blind right there. And, I mean, everybody don't drive the speed limit. So my concern is there'll be cars crashing in front of our houses or maybe we'll get piled up pulling out, when we come out. So, I'm opposed to that because of that. And there's a creek on that east side that that you couldn't see. So the bottom of that property, there's a creek. It runs all the way through there. It comes by my house, and it goes all the way out. And some of that, I think, up there is a flood zone area. So I'm told that you can't build but so close to the creek anyway. So I don't know what they're going to do about that. So we have some concerns, and that's pretty much what.
What is your address? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
205 Denny Road, like straight across from the
Denny.
property.
Thank
I can
you.
see the whole property. And there's a creek that runs right straight by my driveway. And so it'll run down the edge of that, so I don't know what's going to happen there. And my neighbor, she's right beside, she's right here, so I don't know what else I can say other than it's dangerous there.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll hear from online Mr. Jackson next.
Yes, my name is Roy Jackson. I live at 826 Valley Oak Drive.
Mr. Jackson, can you show us your face? Can you start your video? Your camera? Thank you so much.
Yes. Again, my name is Roy Jackson. I live at 826 Valley Oak Drive. And so the construction site in question, would be right beside my house, run along the creek in which the gentleman was just speaking of. And I'm in opposition because, one, the infrastructure area here is already congested. The other part is that we're bringing in more housing, and I understand the need in some aspect for the city of Greensboro for housing, but this area has just already been congested with housing, and the infrastructure barely can hold what we already have in place right now. And the narrow roads in which we have here is barely able to hold the capacity of the individuals that live in this area now. And just as the gentleman said before, the hill in which is located by this property is actually a dangerous area. We've already had one fatality on record in this particular area because of people coming over that hill in accelerated speed, and so much traffic up at the top there at Rehoboth Church Road. And so I just think that this is a very congested area already, and to bring more housing in is only going to make matters even worse. And we have a school that's down in the area that is already at capacity, and then to put more pressure on that school to take in more kids in that area if school area kids move there. And so I think that's going to put a tremendous amount of pressure on the area. And the one thing that I'm not clear about on this property that I've not seen is the income level of which they may be asking for this housing development. I've not seen anything in writing as it relates to that. That's my time. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 5 minutes and 57 seconds left in the rebuttal. Would you like to say anything? I mean, of the opposition, sorry. Please come to the podium.
Chair Magid, if I may, just before y'all proceed further, I think the last speaker indicated that he lived on, was it Valley Oak?
Valley Hill Drive.
Valley Oak Drive. Noticed while he was speaking, he may have intended to speak in opposition on an item that we already heard, because that's pretty close to the Rehoboth matter that was just heard a little while ago.
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify in case there's any confusion for the commission.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for that, because I couldn't find it on the map.
so unfortunately, that item, of course, has already been voted on.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Will you state your name and address?
Yes, my name is Joan Oliver. I live at 203 Denny Road, directly across the street. And they stated all the concerns I'm about. We don't have no sidewalks. Streets are narrow. Accident. Traffic light coming in. When you make that turn, right-hand turn, when you come in the street, you're not really seeing nothing over there until you come right up on it. So my concern is, whatever they put there, I don't think multi-family should be, it's not a good idea at all. Because too much traffic, children, no sidewalks, where they gonna walk? They come walking down my block on Denny Road, they walk on my grass. There's nowhere else for them to walk. Not only that, where is exiting and entering exiting going to be at on this property? Is it going to be directly in front of my driveway? Is it going to be directly over here? Or is it going to be over there by the restaurant, which you're not going to see, which is their property, people park there to come and, go to the restaurant. So that is my concern. Traffic, bad. Going up that hill, down that hill, terrible. School buses, just like it took me 4 minutes just to get in my driveway. And I shouldn't have to wait that long just to get in my driveway. So you can see how congested the area is getting. They build multiple houses around the area, which is nice. But just on Denny Road like that, no. I don't think it's a good idea. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Let's see. Any other people that want to speak in opposition? Okay, so we'll start the rebuttal. First from the applicant. And I'd just like to mention two things, like there will be sidewalks. In any of these new developments that we're doing, there'll be sidewalks added. What was the other? Okay. Schools and traffic, just remember that's not under our purview. I just wanted to point that out. Thank you. State your name and address again.
Jahan Waller with J.C. Waller Associates, 4125 Walker Avenue. I'd like to thank the two neighbors for their concerns. This is the first time that we're hearing those concerns, but I want to bring up to this body that we're looking at 4 to 6 units, which should not exacerbate the ongoing transportation issue that may be occurring in the area. We did do a sketch plan submission at a high-level concept to make sure there was no development challenges for developing 4 to 6 units on the property. There is a stream on the property, which again limits the amount of development. Again, we believe this development proposal provides a different housing stock in the particular neighborhood that Greensboro desperately needs. And I can take any other questions.
Thank you very much. And we have a little bit more time if anyone wants to speak in the rebuttal in favor of the property. Okay. Now we'll hear rebuttal in opposition to the property. Anyone want to speak? Okay. Thank you. Any discussion from the commissioners before I close the public hearing? Was his hand up? Mr. Jackson?
No, my hand was not up.
Okay. Thank you very much. Did you realize the property that you were coming to speak about? Was it Denny Road or was it the one before?
I did not realize that it had already been passed on.
So it was a past one. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that for the record. Thank you. Okay. So we're going to, without further objection, we'll close the public hearing and we can open this up for any discussion before we make a motion. Anyone want to speak? Okay, let's make a motion then. I'll entertain a motion.
Well, I did want to say one thing. I understand the neighbor's concern, and I also understand what the developer is thinking about. In this regard, looking at the fact, there are two things. I see there's no traffic impact study that is needed, but I also know that particular area, and I will argue that if this does get approved, it may drive more opportunity for the roads to be improved and for the traffic aspects to be a lot better. I know that area can be more refined in areas, but we also respect the neighbors and their positionality on those aspects. So thank you for being here today. But I believe that if we were to approve this, this will make the livelihood in the neighborhood a lot more livable and walkable as well, and safer. So I think this would be a step in the right direction, in my opinion, from looking at our comprehensive plan.
Any other person want to speak? Okay, now I will entertain a motion, please.
Madam Chair, Sandra O'Connor, I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor.
The Greensboro Planning and Zoning Commission believes that its action to recommend approval of the rezoning request for the property at 202 Denny Road from CL Commercial Low to CDO Conditional District Office to be consistent with the adopted GSO 2040 Comprehensive Plan, and considers the action taken to be reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. The request is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan's future built form map and future land use map. The proposed CDO zoning district, as conditioned, permits uses that fit the context of the surrounding area and limits negative impacts on adjacent properties. The request is reasonable due to the size, physical conditions, and other attributes of the area. It will benefit the property owner and surrounding community, and approval is in the public interest.
Commissioner Gilmer seconds.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor and Mr. Gilmer. So now we will take a vote. Is there any comments? Any comments? Okay. So all those in favor signify by raising your arm and saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That constitutes 9-0. And this is a final action. Unless an appeal is submitted in writing to the Planning Department and the appeal fee paid within 10 days, anyone may file such appeal. All such appeals will be subject to a public hearing on Tuesday, April 15th, 2025, City Council meeting, and all adjoining property owners will be notified of any such appeals. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Carter. All right, so we're going to close the meeting. Do we know how many cases we have for next month?
Right now, we have 8 items on the agenda total.
Okay.
One of them still subject to figure out if it's moving forward.
All right, so we have food, so we'll go to the room and we can have a little bite. Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you for a really good job.
Recording stopped.